of ratios. So we're looking at mixtures right now. So ratios are often used to create mixtures. However, in some instances, the total amount is known and the individual amounts must be determined. So we're going to go through just two examples for this lesson. So an engine requires a mixture of gas and oil in the ratio of 40:3. A container will hold 2.75 liters. How much gas and oil should be mixed in the container so that the engine will continue to run normally? So what we want to do is we want to think about this ratio is 40:3. So this is a total of 43 parts. So we can sort of create a makeshift chart. So gas, oil, and total. So we have 40:3 and then a total of 43 parts. So we have a container that will hold 2.75 liters. So we want to know how much gas and how much oil should be mixed into this container. So this is going to be very similar to what we would have done in our application from our last lesson. So we're going to set up a ratio for gas and a ratio for oil, looking at trying to find those unknown values by comparing them to the total. So we're going to let X be gas and Y be oil. So I'm going to set up a ratio for gas, which is going to be 40/43 is equal to X over 2.75. So the parts of gas over the total is equal to X over 2.75. So now this becomes a ratio that I know how to solve based on my use of algebra. So I'm going to take my 2.75, bring it across the equal sign to multiply. So I have 40 times 2.75 over 43 is equal to X. So now I want to do the multiplication. So 40 times 2.75 is equal to 110 divided by 43. And I'm going to use 2.6. So I'm going to round it. So 2.6 liters is how much gas I need. So let's take a look at our oil. So I'm going to set up my proportions. So I'm going to use 3/43 is equal to Y over 2.75. So the parts of oil over the total. So same thing, I'm going to take my 2.75, I'm going to bring it over to multiply so that I can isolate Y. So I have 3 times 2.75 over 43 equals Y. 3 times 2.75 is 8.25. And 8.25 divided by 43 is about 0.2, 0.19. So 0.2 is equal to Y. So now you'll notice that it's not quite, so it's just a little bit more because I only used, I rounded up to 1 decimal place. So I'm pretty close to that 2.75. If I wanted to be more exact, I could do 0.19 here. And if I go back to my 110 divided by 43, I could do 2.56, and that's going to be equal to my X, and then 2.56 plus 0.19 is equal to 2.75. So if I want, so I would actually keep my 2 decimal places in this case. So now I can say that I should have, therefore, you should have 2.56 liters of gas and 0.19 liters of oil in the mixture or in the container. So we'll do one more example. And taking a look at this concept of looking at parts versus the whole. So here we have a recipe for a fruit dessert. So the fruit dessert contains 2 kilograms of peaches, 1.5 kilograms of pears, and 500 grams of green grapes. So the first thing I want to do is convert all of these items so that they have the same unit. So in this case, I'm going to convert everything to kilograms because if I look at part D, my total amount is in kilograms. So I know that there are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. So I'm going to need to divide this by 1,000 in order to get the amount of kilograms. So in order to do that, I take my 500 and I divide by my 1,000, and that gives me 0.5. So this is going to be the same as 0.5 kilograms. So now when I write my ratio of peaches to pears to grapes with the same unit, it would be 2 to 1.5 to 0.5. So now I'm going to use those ratios or those values to come up with the mass of peaches in this case that I need. So I'm going to do the peaches to the total. So I don't actually need to know how much is going to be in my other ones. So if I wanted to, though, I could do all of them if that would be easier for you to think about. So peaches, pears, and then grapes, and then total. You can do that. But know that we're only looking for the peaches. So in the ratio, it's 2 to 1.5 to 0.5, and then our total is 4. And in our actual, I want to know how many peaches I need. So I don't, it's not asking me to find out how many pears or grapes, just the peaches, and my total is 2.2 kilograms. So now when I set up my proportion, it's going to be 2 over 4 is equal to x over 2.2. And what I could do is simplify this fraction first. So put this fraction into lowest terms. So then it becomes 1 over 2 is equal to x over 2.2. And the only reason I do that is because it makes my calculations a little easier to work with because I'm not dealing with larger values. So right now it's not a huge deal because it's only 2 over 4, but if this was a larger amount, reducing that would be much easier for you. So I'm going to take my 2.2, I'm going to multiply it when I bring it across the equal sign. So I have 1 times 2.2 divided by 2 is equal to x. I'm going to finish my calculations up over here. So I have 2.2, because 1.2.2 is 2.2, divided by 2 is equal to x. And 2.2 divided by 2 is 1.1. So therefore, you would need 1.1 kilograms of peaches. If you have any questions about using the applications of ratios to find parts versus wholes, please let me know in the discussion post in the virtual learning environment or send me an email.